Hey everyone, and welcome to the new and overhauled Before the Green Flag webcast on gmsracing.net. I'm Justin Wappam, joined by Joey Coulter, and there are plenty of topics this week as Grant Enfinger's incredible win streak unfortunately came to an end at Salem Speedway with a 13th place finish. Grant, however, still holds the championship points lead as the ARCA Racing Series presented by Menards heads back to Talladega Superspeedway for this Friday evening's racing action.
Grant will be looking to sweep both restrictor plate events this season in the number 23 Beasley Allen Alamo Rental Car Chevrolet after his win at Daytona in February. Good news for Grant is that he will have a teammate in Scott Sheldon who returns to the seat of the number 20 Allegiant Travel Chevrolet. Scott finished 8th in the season opener in Daytona, and this weekend at Talladega will be his third ARCA start.
We will discuss that and more on this week's edition of Before the Green Flag. Hey everyone, and welcome to the newest edition of Before the Green Flag on gmsracing.net. I'm Justin Wappam, joined by Joey Coulter and Josh Weinrich. And this week we're going to be talking about Grant Enfinger and now his return to Talladega Superspeedway. And guys, you have the incredible win streak ended at Salem Speedway with a little bit of late race action. How does Grant bounce back from that?
Well, I mean, it's no different than going into a race after you win 3 in a row. You know, you keep doing your thing. You have your rhythm. Those guys are still consistent. You know, it's not like they showed up to Salem and forgot what they were doing.
Yeah.
They had some late race bad luck, and it cost them a win probably because their car seemed really strong during the race. So you just got to show up to Talladega the same way you rolled into Daytona, which, if I remember correctly, worked out pretty well.
Yeah.
You know, he's got Scott as a teammate again, and that was a really good pair at Daytona. So I think they just do what they're doing, and they'll be fine.
Yeah, Salem was just, you know, with breaking a track bar, we see it all the time at Bristol. We see it all the time at Dover, and Salem's one of those places when you're going so fast, and the pace of the race is so quick. You know, there's a lot of stress and a lot of load on those parts and pieces, especially in the rear end, and you know that's a place that we typically see a lot of mechanical failure. So, you know, like Joey said, they're so fast everywhere. I mean, that team is so good, and what I think everyone's really looking forward to Talladega is because Grant and Scott, not only were they both fast, but they were both committed to each other late in that race. And that's, I mean, no matter what series you race at the plate tracks, you have to be committed to each other to have a shot to win late in those races.
Exactly. So now that we're turning to Talladega, as a driver, Joey, a super speedway, we talked about it before Daytona, a super speedway is always just a different animal. How do you just approach it knowing that everything, you know, that we, you know, Grant says that his bread and butter is these short tracks, but he's won at Daytona. How do you approach that whole new mindset to a completely different track?
I mean, your answer's in the question. You treat it like it's completely different. You know, it's obviously with the preparation of the cars and things like that, it's still business as usual, you know. But as a driver, you have to take it as super speedway racing. You know, you don't break down a super speedway race the way you break down a short track race. It's much more like a long football play almost, because every move you make on a super speedway leads to the result at the end, you know.
Yeah.
Especially on that last run.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think just being able to say, okay, what I've done the past 3 weeks really doesn't matter. I'm going to Talladega or I'm going to Daytona. You just look at your super speedway races from the beginning of the year before, and work off of that.
And there's a huge luck element to the
restrictor
plates.
Yeah, just slightly.
So, you know, we've seen them in the ARC Series. We've seen them wreck coming to the checkers. We've seen them wreck off a restart. We've seen them not wreck. So it's the whole line in the weeds, stay in the back stuff to miss it. I think that strategy is probably, in all the series, probably not worked a larger percentage of the time that it actually has. So, I mean, you just have to go up there and race, because it's Talladega. You've seen guys get wrecked running second and for the lead. So, I mean, you never know where it's going to be.
Exactly.
So, you know, by that token, you just kind of have to go race and let the chips fall where they may.
Yeah, and historically in an ARCA race, if you're not in that top 5, it's hard to pass.
Yeah.
And that's, you know, somewhat of the nature of speedway racing with an ARCA car, but it's just tough. So you got to be there at the end to make a move, and you know, pit strategy, pit crew is
these restrictor plate rules, we have to go back to like the old Cup and Nationwide cars back from 6-8 years ago, something like that. So I think people kind of forget the way those races kind of played out, where, like you said, the top 3-4 guys, it's really, it's pretty easy to get up there. It's just going from third, fourth, or fifth up to make a move for the lead is extremely difficult.
And I know, to go along with what you said before, is, hanging in the back normally doesn't work out. And I think you're kind of seeing that shift now across all the racing series. A lot of these guys kind of figuring out, hey, hanging out in the back's not working out for us. It's this whole thing of playing it safe. Those are the guys that are normally getting caught up in all this stuff. So
yeah, and by that same token, they've shortened the ARCA race from last year to this year by 50 miles. So I mean, we could see a green flag pit stop. I mean, there's been a lot of circuit plate races that are lean, mean, and green, and you got to make a green flag stop. So if you're hanging out in the back and you come down pit road and you get crossed up with some guys getting a pit road or getting into your box, something like that, you're just asking to lose the lead draft, and then you're really in trouble.
Yeah, and that's where, Grant having a bunch of experience is really going to help, because he's made green flag pit stops at super speedways, which, I mean, I raced ARCA for 2 years full time, and then went back a third year and ran Daytona, and I only made one green flag pit stop on a super speedway the whole time I raced ARCA. So it doesn't happen that often. So there's very few guys that have that kind of experience, and then the other benefit Grant has and that Scott has is that they're teammates. So they're going to be able to pit on the same lap, come down pit road together, leave pit road together, and work with each other all day.
And that was something at Daytona that Jeff and Shane really did a good job coordinating the pit strategy, so those two guys could stay working together that entire time. And what was really funny is we've seen in the past kind of follow the leader on the bottom for a significant portion of the race in the ARC series, and Scott and Grant were leading that outside lane. So those two cars, it's the same chassis same chassis that they had in Daytona. So we know they got speed, and we know they got enough steam under the hood to make stuff happen when they pull out of line.
And now we're going to kind of shift gears, kind of looking now at the truck series, as the bulk of the schedule is now really starting to come into the forefront here at GMS. And it's kind of got me wondering, we have all these tracks come up so diverse. What are some of the tracks that you guys are really looking forward to us running?
I'm looking forward to Kansas. I mean, this next one, I mean, I don't know. I mean, you don't want to ever be overconfident or anything, but Spencer just did that rookie test at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Went real well. Overheard some conversations that Spencer and Jeff had about some wind tunnel numbers and things like that. So there's a lot of improvement that's being made to these trucks. And Spencer said that Kansas might be his favorite track on the Truck Series schedule. And with him winning last time he was there in the ARCA car last October, I mean, I can't wait to get out to Kansas.
Yeah, I agree. Like it sounds really cliche, but my favorite racetrack's the one we're going to next. But in this case, I really feel like that's kind of a legitimate response, because I do think we're going to have a great package at Kansas. Jeff and I learned a lot there last year during the race, and the wind tunnel numbers are better, the pull down numbers are better. Spencer and Brandon both got to go do their rookie test at Charlotte. That's going to help for Kansas, and it's really going to help for Charlotte, which is the next race after Kansas. So I really think the next couple racetracks are
Kansas,
great.
Since the repave, it's all aero. I mean, you're so dependent aero-wise there, because that place is so fast. It's still got so much grip. There's so much banking, and so for the trucks, you can't be lacking in any department.
Yeah. And I think, to go along with how we were talking about how the rookie test went with Spencer at Charlotte, I'm really excited for us to go there, especially after being at the test and seeing Spencer and Jeff work together, and really seeing how they, throughout the whole day, they attacked that track and really got after it. And you could just see the gains each and every run, and it was really impressive to watch. So I know it's kind of cliche to say it's our hometown track, say, oh, I'm really excited we're going there, but I think for GMS it's going to be a really great race for us.
Yeah, well, that's what's cool about Charlotte, and I know we'll talk about it a lot when we get to that race, but Charlotte's everybody's home track, and that's why it's so cool to win there. That's why everybody wants to win there.
Well, guys, that about does it here for us on Before the Green Flag. Be sure to tune into all our social media this week, as we'll keep you up to date with all the racing action from Talladega Superspeedway. I'm Justin Wappen, joined by Joey Coulter and Josh Weinrich, and this has been Before the Green Flag on the brand new GMSRacing.net.